Is it recording?
Yeah, I just started it.
Okay, cool.
So, how many of my typing sessions have you seen before?
A good number. I'm pretty familiar with your process.
Okay. Um, have I typed you before?
Yes,
Have I typed you ISTP before?
I can't reveal that. My name's Lucy.
Okay. I bet you it's not.
Oh, why do you think so?
Because I recognize your voice.
You do.
Yeah.
I really have that distinctive of a voice.
Yeah, you do have that distinctive of a voice.
Well, god damn it. I'll just reveal myself now. Hi, Eric.
Hi, how's it going?
uh, pretty good.
So, what do you want to talk to me about typologically here? You got your doubts, you got your concerns, complaints, queries, concerns, complaints, queries. What you talking about?
So last time you typed me, I was like watching the video again, and I noticed that like the any tests were actually like kind of inconsistent with any polar. Like I scored better than that.
Okay. Well, then convince me you didn't.
Convince you?
That you didn't score better than
Just give me any test right now and can reevaluate the results.
that. Okay. So that was a test of it right there.
What?
That was a test. That was one such test, but I will provide you with more such tests. Okay, so tell me a story about that person in the picture behind you with the umbrella.
Oh, that's me.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Okay, we're playing make up a story. Okay, what about that other person in the picture to the right? Is that you also?
Yeah.
Did you have any pictures of anybody but yourself?
Not in my room, no.
Okay. Well then, let me see if I can find it. Make up a story about. Let me pull up a picture from the internet, and I'll pull it up on screen, and I'm gonna ask you to tell me a story about it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. This is a good picture. This is a silly picture. Okay. All right. So take a look at this picture.
I can't see it. Are you screen sharing?
Now you can. Now tell me a story about that picture. What's the lady's name?
Sarah.
Okay, it's Sarah. She's got on
A
a
sweater?
big bunchy sweater. Yeah.
Kind of looks uncomfortable, not gonna lie. It's like something a scarecrow would wear.
Okay, so what is she doing and why is she doing it?
I believe she's peeling a clementine, or it could be orange, I'm not sure.
Have you considered the possibility that it's a tangerine?
It's a tangerine.
It's like a little orange. Maybe it's what you call it, a clementine. I don't know. I've never heard that term exactly before.
Or maybe,
Tangerine.
maybe like smelling it will like give her some like medicinal properties. Um,
Okay.
she wants to like savor the smell before she bites into it. Before she could be smelling it for a number of reasons. Just
Okay, but I want you to make up a story like this. I'm going to demo, and then I'll bring up another picture for you to try, okay? Like this. Sarah was a lady who was feeling kind of blue, and she had on her bunchiest sweater accordingly because whenever she was feeling sad, she liked to put on big bunchy sweaters and and brood in her home. Well, one day she decided, I'm going to get rid of this bad mood. I'm going to peel this orange and I'm going to throw it out the window at those children over there. So she's looking at those children and thinking to herself, those damn kids out there playing tetherball, making all this noise while I'm trying to be inside in my bunchy sweater. I'm going to throw this orange at them. But then, as she's peeling off the last piece of peel, she says, you know what? I'm just going to eat it instead. And she's glad she did later on. She didn't have to regret having thrown the orange at the kids. Okay, now I'll bring up a new picture and for you to try to tell me a story, okay?
I probably couldn't have went into that elaborate detail.
Okay,
Like, I
well...
probably would have like distilled the story down to like 3 main points, like beginning, middle, and finish.
Okay, well... How many different possible ways can you think of to say the sentence, I have gone across the street to steal the neighbor's paper?
I have traveled across the street to obtain the neighbor's paper without their consent.
Okay, anything else?
I have waded across the way to take away the neighbor's paper without their consent.
Okay, anything else?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Maybe the idea will like come up to me in the middle of the typing session.
Okay. So, how many synonyms can you think of for the word spicy?
Hot, prickly, difficult to handle.
Okay.
That's 3.
How many reasons can you think of why this woman right here might be enjoying her salad so much? Why is she so happy with that salad?
Must be because it tastes good.
Any other possible reasons?
Not any other possible reasons pertaining to the salad.
Well, I mean, not even. Maybe she liked...
Well, maybe because she's happy that she's like staying on her diet.
Okay, anything else?
Nothing related to the salad.
Maybe she likes the texture of lettuce on her tongue. Maybe she just enjoys flinging forkfuls of food towards her face but doesn't actually eat it. Because she likes to pretend like she's going to stab herself in the face and then trick herself at the last minute and go, ah, ha, 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 that was scary. I almost stabbed myself in the face. Maybe she just... It's like every time she takes a bite of salad, she closes her eyes and remembers that time in childhood when she was lost in the lettuce field. And she followed the tomatoes all the way, the cherry tomato trail all the way home, and it saved her life. Ever since then, she's been a huge fan of tomatoes and salad. So those are
Okay, you got me there.
other possible reasons. Okay, but okay, so the thing is this: with a polar function, it's hard to necessarily recognize what it is exactly. So, like when people who are FE polar talk about FE, they only talk about it from their perspective, seeing it and understanding it for what it is as displayed by others. So why don't you talk to me about what your perspective on extroverted intuition is? What do you think it is? How do you think it manifests in your life? Give me some examples of it.
So I mean, like you just imply that it's like kind of hard for us to be able to identify our blind spots because that's like the virtue of our blind spots, right?
Well, that's why I'm asking you to try to do so. And I'm also informing you that it's hard to do so if it is your blind spot. We're going to see if it is, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, just ideation, right? Like thinking about thoughts that deviate from the norm or outside of the box thinking.
Well, I mean, it's it may end up looking like that to third parties, but it's really as simple as how many rhymes can you think of for the word knobby, like knobby knees?
Yeah, I know.
So
It's just like
how many rhymes can you think of? Go ahead, start. Give me the rhymes, all of them.
knobby knees,
You're rhyming the word knobby,
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 sloppy, bobby, like a bobby head, hobby, lobby, not chubby.
Okay, so note here, extroverted intuition isn't necessarily very smart. If asked to generate rhymes for something like that, I would go, okay, well, Bobby, Cobby, Dobby, Fobby, Gobby, Hobby, and I just go up the alphabet, right, and try out
Yeah.
all the different sounds. So
Uh-huh.
yours seems more like an NI approach to the matter, but I mean, it is true that it's possible for me, obviously, or anybody else, I guess, to come up with a rhyme before they try out random shit. But the inclination, in other words, I think what perhaps you're missing about it is that it's a sacrificing of the ability to be correct and succinct to some extent. Like
Yeah.
if you are extrovertedly intuiting, you're not you're, you're asked to provide additional possibilities beyond that which you intuit to be the best answer. In fact, to do so, you're going to have to do so effectively. To some extent, you have to ignore the quality of the answer and just focus on the quantity of the answer. So,
Yeah, I
like,
know. The primary goal is just to just generate as many possibilities as you can.
so do you still think you're not polar?
I mean, even in the typing session, you said I didn't test as polar. Like maybe it's the fourth slot. I don't know. But I definitely don't think I'm an SI dom. So
Well, I
we can
mean,
rule that possibility out.
you haven't demonstrated anything particularly beyond the capacity of polar so far. But
Really?
let's ask some more questions. So paint me a character who's got a lot of quirks, and it's a you can you paint me a bunch of details about a character you're making up right now on the fly.
Just like some quirks that you generally see in YA books.
No, you are to
Like the
create.
archetypical, not like other girls' character.
No, I want you to create a specific character that's got lots of quirks. That you're creating on the fly.
Okay, well, how would you define quirky? I mean, everybody's different in their own unique capacity, right? So, like, I could technically name anything. Like, it could be considered quirky for some people and quirky for other people.
That's true. The thing is, of course, what is that response? What is that response most of all suggestive of?
TI Dom.
Yeah. How do you define quirky? I go waka waka waka. That's quirky. You see?
Yeah, so I can give you an infinite amount of potential answers.
But
And
can you? Or do you just hypothesize that it would be possible to give me an infinite amount of answers?
well, I mean, if I have a dictionary in front of me, I could probably look up a lot of.
Well,
Well,
then you're not generating those ideas, are you? You're
okay.
just reading them from a book.
Funny. I mean, there are a lot of funny people
So
actually.
here's an example of creating a quirky character. So his name is Blazeltoff Schnagelbus, and he's a tall man with a huge fro of gray hairs that are straggling in all directions, and a long deep black beard that almost touches the ground. And he has a tendency of saying, "That's the spirit," to everybody he sees after they speak and say anything. And additionally, he has this fetish for apples. He can't help but just want to rub them all over his face all the time. Because he likes himself to smell like apples. And then he also will go up to people and say, "Don't I smell like apples?" And if they say no, he'll say, "Liar!" And condemn them and then give them a pamphlet about how people shouldn't lie about how he smells like apples. Now, there's a character with some quirks, right? I don't care who you are and how you define it, you have to agree that character has some quirks.
Yeah. Okay.
So now
Apple fish is definitely unusual.
you try to come up with a character who's a lady who lives at a lake. Tell me more about her.
Okay, I give up.
Yeah, you're an ISTP, dude.
I mean, are you sure I'm an ISTP?
Well, I mean,
Like lately, like I've been like very emotional.
uh huh.
I feel like it might be the FI sneaking up on me.
I mean, are you an FI dom? I mean, let's find out.
Maybe.
Uh,
I mean, you don't have like any definitive test for FI, right?
well, sure I do. So,
You do?
oh yeah, definitive as hell. What's more important, spending time with your friends or spending time with your family? And why?
Friends, because I'm not close to my family. I think that's a pretty appropriate FI response.
What if you have a family obligation that your family expects you to go to, but you'd rather spend time with your friends? How do you balance that emotionally?
You mean like an FE obligation?
Well, you have to go, yeah, an FE obligation. How do you
Depends
handle it?
on the obligation. Go into more detail. I'm totally cool with just like not attending.
Or is your family cool with you not attending?
Probably not, but like I'll deal with the consequences later.
Okay. Pretend you're interviewing to get into college and I'm your college interviewer.
Oh shit.
What do you have to offer? Who is Lucy besides not Lucy?
I haven't started my college application process yet. Oh, I don't like the fact that you're simulating the situation. It's giving me stress right now.
Are you somebody who brings a lot of creative energy to the school, or are you somebody who brings a lot of stick-to-itiveness, or both, or neither?
um, Stick to it. More so than creativity.
Do you know what you want to stick it to? You want to stick to chemistry, physics, math, English?
Well, now it's either between computer science or mechanical engineering.
I see. And if you do computer science, what kind of computer science? Like coding shit or what? Or just...
Like data analysis.
Okay. If you do mechanical engineering, what do you end up making? Like fighter planes and shit?
What?
Like, what do you do for a job if you're a mechanical engineer?
Oh, I just wanted to get a degree in mechanical engineering.
Why,
Because
though?
it's super flexible.
So, what kind of jobs would you anticipate getting after you got your degree in mechanical engineering?
Oh, there's like all sorts of options that are open to me. Just like if I like specialize in one field, then that's my only option, right?
Okay,
Mechanical engineering, it's like jack of all trades.
so can you give me some examples of some jobs you can get with a mechanical engineering degree?
Like electrical engineering, aerospace engineering, um, other sorts of engineering.
Okay.
Honestly, I haven't thought this through that much. I just like know generally that I want to be some kind of engineer.
What other kind of engineering is there besides mechanical?
Besides mechanical,
Electrical?
there's electrical, there's aerospace, obviously there's software,
Okay.
and there's mechanical itself.
There's also train engineers. They drive the trains. They blow the train whistle. Doot, doot.
Are those like train drivers?
Yeah, they're called engineers.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
but
fine.
they don't have to get an engineering degree. They just have to be train drivers.
Oh, civil engineers. Yeah, how can I forget?
Civil engineers. Well, okay. So, I mean, how did you do on the TI test in general? How do you do on them? Like,
I got an answer wrong.
you,
Well,
you got an answer wrong?
yeah.
Shame on you.
Yeah,
All
seriously. It's supposed to be a TI to me.
right, well, if some people like cheese and some cheese likers like baseball, is it necessarily the case that some people like baseball?
I already said no.
Oh yeah, you did. You did already say no. You're jumping the gun. You're like that impatient game show contestant. Um, okay, so what do you think you've ever decided by emotions, if anything?
Decided by the emotions. Um, I mean, I can't like pinpoint like a specific emotion, but like general patterns that I take, like not wanting to do homework, so putting it off, so I could like take a nap or something.
Okay, so that would be prioritizing SI over I guess SE.
Well, it's not because I feel tired per se, just
You just
escape from
you,
reality. Yeah.
I see. You just don't want to do it. Yeah. Okay. Well, that would be prioritizing FI, I guess. Uh, anything else? Any kind of bigger decisions than like putting something off right now?
Sex.
Okay.
I mean, that also SI.
No, that counts. I think more as FI.
That's what?
I'd say that counts as an FI decision, probably.
Okay. Mm.
Yeah. If that's specifically knowing what you want for yourself in that area and
Yeah,
not
and
so
just like
much.
hanging out with friends because I like their company.
Okay.
Oh, those all sound like FI matters.
Do you feel a lot of clarity about what you want, or in general, or do you feel as though you have good control over your impulses in the moment over what you want in a larger sense?
Can you repeat that? You mean like,
Like,
uh,
do you feel like do you consider yourself somebody who's particularly impulsive, or in
yes.
general, do you have good control over your impulses in the moment and choose to prioritize what you think is important in a larger sense?
I do not have good control of my sex drive. It's kind of wild. Also, the same can be said like about like other material substances. I like to just like spontaneously go in the shower or just like get ready for the fridge, or just like sneak out of the house and just like go somewhere. And you like do these simple things like walking.
Well, that sounds
Like
very SE.
yeah, I know.
That sounds very SE.
But
uh,
isn't that supposed to be my tool function? That's SE.
well, I mean, that
I'm not
makes.
supposed to enjoy SE for the sake of SE, right? Technically.
Well, I mean, it's how you deal with shit. So it's like, whether you're enjoying it or not, if you're experiencing any kind of distress, you're gonna go to it. So whether that's like if I have conflict in my relationship or something, I'm gonna first go to TI. Wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. Is this fair or whatever? Even though I don't necessarily enjoy it. What it sounds like to me is you generally are kind of
Physically angsty.
yeah that you're you've been compelled to be an academic your whole life and suppress those parts of you that are inclined to get out and run around and do shit and stuff, you know. So,
Exactly. I need to get it out of my system before I go to college.
I mean, it's your operational value. It's like even though you don't exactly take a great deal of satisfaction in it, it is how you will continue to deal with.
Wait, why would you jump to that assumption? I wouldn't do it if I actually don't uh derive any pleasure from those activities, right? I mean,
Well, I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying that even though it might be the case that your tool function isn't one that you treat as an absolute value, that doesn't mean that you can't. utilize it, or that you won't utilize it in a variety of contexts. So it's like I make videos with good TI. It gives me a great deal of satisfaction ultimately if they do well, and I get a lot of feedback, and I feel like I've done a good, clean job. But I mean, really, what it's getting me is like I guess FE satisfaction. Regardless, it's my go-to approach to doing things. So if you're looking to get satisfaction in life, you're going to go to your tool function first. It's sort of whether that satisfaction is hey, that's not fair. Let me correct something, or that's wrong with the TI tool, or whether it's hey, I'm feeling antsy and I want to get out and do some shit. You know, either way.
But you say it also like related to
Um, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, it's like knowing what you want short term, knowing what you want long term, being able to put aside your impulses at the moment for some longer term thing. Like, I didn't really want to work with my student Chloe earlier, but I did anyway because I said I would. I put it on the calendar, and so I followed through on what I said I was going to do, even though I didn't really want to. In that regard, we all have to have some measure of control over our FI. In other words, it can't completely drive the boat, so that as my shifting moods shift, that my willingness to meet people when I say I'm going to meet them changes or something like that. It can't have it like that, so you end up with a situation where people always have to constrain their FI to some extent. But for those of us who have it in polar or possibly eighth slot, it can be a little bit of a wild horse. In other words,
FI.
it can drag us around kind of. It should be subject to your TI ultimately. It shouldn't be too much. It should only really chime in on the matter, I guess, for you when your TI wants it to. In other words, when your TI doesn't trust itself or something. Something like that. I'm not really sure how the mechanics of that would work with the eighth slot FI. I've never really had a good sense of that because I don't have a super clear sense of FI in general.
Well, I mean, I feel like FI doesn't really have that role, at least for me. Like it's A slot is like it should be complacent to TI, right? I feel like everything I do is actually driven by FI now.
Well, I mean, the point is, if you're using TI for things, then, and you're exclusively attending by introverted thinking, then you're not having a very good hand on your FI, right? Like, in other words, it's not.
It's like working behind the scenes.
It, I mean, it's telling you what to use TI on, kind of, right? Like, yeah, in that sense, it is. It's saying, like, for example, you want to pay attention to this conversation about your personality type and whether you have NE or whether I'm right in general, whether you can pick apart this or that or the other thing about my descriptions of stuff. And you're so obviously a TI dom because if I'm not exactly precise enough in my language, you're just like, you look like I fed you a piece of poo. The facial expression is like, I think not, good sir.
I'm that
I
pedantic.
think not. Is that what
No, I
you're?
don't want to like come off as like an asshole or something.
No, you
I'm
chill out, relax. I'm not an actual FB critique. Okay, so the point is that
Are you sure I'm not FI Dom? Or what if I'm an ESTP? It's actually like SE could be first slot for me. And I say like I'm an ambivert, like have extrovert, have introvert.
no, there's no such thing. I mean, could you be an ESTP? Well, no, your NE's polar. It's not. It's not eighth slot.
Oh, okay.
Your NE seems very polar to me.
But my FI is not polar.
Well,
If my NE's polar, then my FI can't be polar.
right.
Right.
I mean that's the thing is I don't. You were right when you said I don't have a very good FI test. I definitely don't. But your NE definitely seems not eighth slot. 8 slot NE is much more able to sort of like get the concept of what I'm looking for when I'm asking any questions, whereas you need a demonstration of it first.
Okay.
But
I thought you were just measuring capability, though.
I mean, but capability
I mean,
is
not
measured on
understanding
multiple
the prompt has
metrics.
nothing to do.
But it's
What?
measured on multiple metrics. So it's about divergence, yes, but it's also about quantity, yes, and it's also about speed.
Speed. Okay.
So, in other words, fourth slot NE can look like polar, but the difference is basically if you
They
give
come up with it eventually.
if you give fourth slot NE more time, they will come up with more random shit. Whereas any NI third seems to basically be like, no, there's no reason to come up with any more shit. I've given you the correct answer. You know?
Is what I demonstrated before.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So either it's ISTP or ISFP. Not entirely convinced I'm not FI dom.
Okay, why not though?
I could just have strong TI.
But it's not just a matter of strength, it's a matter of like,
Habitual preference.
yeah, it infuses everything you're doing. It's like it infuses this conversation throughout. If you were an ISFP, you wouldn't be using so much basically question asking slash negating as an approach to parsing it. You'd be parsing it by saying, "But I really feel like I'm yeah sometimes," or some shit like that. You know. Instead, you're saying, "Well, I could be. How do you know I'm not?" That's very TI, not FI. You do not care about my feelings.
Your feelings? Well, I mean,
Yeah,
care about other people's feelings. Is that like an FE concern though?
I mean, not really. That's the thing about FI is harm prevention. So, like Dulles, the INFP, he made a video a little while ago where he talked about how the data from my typing sessions shows that people who think they are INFPs coming in are only right 1 out of 7 times. And he was very careful about talking to the 6 people, presumably, who think they're INFPs who are watching that video out of 7 who aren't actually INFPs. He was very worried about how this challenge to their identity was going to make them feel and preventing bad feelings in them. He was very proactive about it, talking about how it might impact these people and how it might impact him as well, including himself in the group of people who had doubt cast upon their type, even though he was definitely an INFP. So why was he doing all that shit? Because he cares about how his video made people feel.
Okay. What
But
if I'm just like naturally not empathetic?
then you're not an FI dom.
Really?
Yeah, the FI's got harm prevention as one of its dynamics. In other words, knowing what's most precious to you. I'm going to
Well,
save.
I mean, it's just like putting.
I can only carry
Saying like
one
it's
kid out of the fire. I'm going to carry my kid and not somebody else's kid, right?
okay.
But it's not more fair for me to carry my kid than somebody else's kid. Maybe I could fit 2 babies under each under one arm, or I could carry just my kid. Well, I'm still going to carry just my kid.
Okay,
And
cool.
even though I'm picking saving one life when I could have saved 2, and it's not fair, but it's because FI says I love my kid and I don't care about those people.
Yeah, but like back to your original point. You said this duels guy. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Who?
Duels, duels, the INFP.
Oh, Dulles. Yeah, Dulles.
Duelist. Yeah. So like he's like basically actively engaging in harm prevention, right? Because like he cares about other people's feelings and shit. But that's probably coming from a perspective of like him putting himself in those people's shoes, right? Because like he wouldn't do so. He wouldn't like go out of way to do that if he didn't think it was necessary.
So
Because if he like envisioned, huh?
that's what FI is, though, is putting yourself in other people's shoes.
Yeah, but like if he were to put himself in those other people's shoes and like not like feel bad, I guess, then like he would not have an obligation to do what he did. So it's conditional. Does that make sense?
So you're saying if he had put himself in their shoes and felt fine about learning that he was bullshitting himself about his own type, then he wouldn't have put those disclaimers?
Yeah. I mean,
O-
you get it.
Okay. So
So
what does that have to do with anything?
empathy, I guess.
Do you put yourself in
It's
other
just
people's shoes?
yeah, sometimes.
And do you always conclude that I'd be fine with it?
Um, I don't know. Sometimes.
Can you come up with an example of you putting yourself in other people's shoes?
Let me think. Okay, I don't know if this is like gonna make me look bad or something, but I'm still 16, right? But like I go to community college, so like nobody's gonna question like if I'm an adult or not. So like I was like on Tinder, right? Like talking to this guy. uh, he's 19, but like he's 20 turning 20. So like that's almost like 3.5 4 year difference. Um, yeah. Anyway, like we were talking about sex because that was like what we were both looking for, and I told him I was 18, but like he still like seemed kind of doubtful. He's like, if you're not 18, like then like super uncomfortable about the situation.
Well, yeah, you're gonna get his ass in trouble, dude.
No, because 16 is the age of consent, so it's like technically legal, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's legal.
Okay,
But,
well,
like,
if you know the
like
laws.
there's like no repercussion. Yeah, exactly. So so I like put myself in his shoes for a moment, and, and I thought like if I was him and I was like chatting up somebody who I thought was 18, but like then like we later revealed that they were 16, then like I'd like feel grossed out. So then I like ended the call and didn't have sex again.
Yeah, I don't. I don't think that 18 or 19-year-old would necessarily feel grossed out. He'd just feel like he wouldn't want to tell his friends that, probably. Because 18 or 19 is not that much older than 16, but
I mean that's
regardless.
like a senior or freshman. It is a little bit gross.
Yeah, well, I mean, oh, Jesus Christ, dude. I mean,
Well,
okay.
what are you
I'm
about to
just
say?
gonna drop that subject entirely. Just leave that subject alone.
I mean it's just sex, right? It's not that deep.
It says
It's
these
not that deep.
purported FI Dom.
Huh?
Says the purported FI Dom.
Well, I mean, it just depends on like how you view it, right? It's just
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, it is true, but you don't sound like an ISFP would be talking about it. You sound much more like an ISTP would be talking about
I'm very pro in casual sex, so
it. Okay, well,
nothing to do with me like if I don't. Like if I wanted to, like if he was like uncomfortable about the situation at a later time, like just cut him out completely.
well, you know what? I bet you're not gonna have a lot of trouble finding that.
Finding
What
what?
you're looking for.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, if you aren't an ISTP, like what is an ISTP? Come on. Okay, maybe you're saying maybe you're an ESTP, but it's just the function tests don't line up like that. And I get that you get satisfaction from doing SE stuff, but I mean, we all operate with our dominant tool as a basic means of going about our business. We're gonna not be unsatisfied when we operate in conjunction with our one and two together, or potentially
I
our.
just think like what I'm doing is very morally gray, and
Uh,
the ISFP probably would not be comfortable taking away people's informed consent. Unfortunately,
I mean, you obviously weren't comfortable with that.
weren't comfortable.
You
No, after like he explicitly stated like, oh, like I definitely would not like fuck a junior in high school. Like, okay, I will respect that boundary.
okay? Well, I
Because the
mean,
people I'm
but
seeking
the thing
out,
is, he had to express it first,
well, yeah.
right? So, I mean,
Then he when he expressed it first, like then like it hit me. It made me feel bad, and that's like when I stopped.
I mean, I guess the answer to that would be you would expect the TI DOM to be by default by default would probably not be particularly prone to misrepresenting things, but I can get how there's a sort of operational TE fifth slot value there as well, which is words are useful in the same way that other things are useful. So ultimately, though, once the other person made it clear that you were operating against consent rather than without it, then you pulled back, which is very TI, I guess.
That was a very warped explanation. I don't think I quite got that. Quite caught.
Well, I mean, to put yourself in
On
somebody
that.
else's shoes means they don't have to tell you how they're feeling about something. You've anticipated it in advance, right? That would be the FI approach. It'd be like to say, I'm going to anticipate in advance that this person, if I put myself in his shoes before they say anything, okay, that I wouldn't appreciate having this person misrepresent themselves to me. It would be an FI frame of reference that would preclude the misrepresentation of self, not follow it. So in other words, it sounds to me like your FI contributed to your TI in informing that decision after your TI said, let's treat this like a redefinable object in an argument. You know, because TI likes to do that. If I define a brick as a pigeon in this argumentation chain, then it's a pigeon for the duration of the argumentation chain. And we operate under those assumptions. So it makes sense that a TI DOM would think, until the reality of it was personalized by somebody else saying it, that lots of things could be defined accordingly, such as your own age.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then when you realize this isn't an argument, this is a thing that might happen, then you go, oh, okay, I guess that's not fair. And you pull back because it's your absolute value.
Wait, what? FI?
No,
Absolute
TI, unfairness.
unfairness.
You're opposed to unfairness. It's like you didn't realize it was unfair until he expressly made the issue of your being abusive in your definitions, so to speak, until you made that explicit. Then you thought, oh, this is now unfair, so I can no longer sustain it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like a few days later, I found another guy though, and well, okay, I don't feel bad for lying to him because. Should I stop there?
No, please
Why?
do continue. Please do continue.
Okay, because like I was like having a conversation with him about like age and stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
And he stated like the reason why like it'll be like uncomfortable for him to like fuck a minor because like they're all from high school and they're not college students.
Oh, so since you're a college student, it's okay?
And all
That was his
and like their
message?
experience is like different.
So that was his justification, huh? Oh, that's just try to keep him under 20 if you can, okay? Don't,
Under 20.
under,
He's only at 3.
only 20, under 20 years old, ideally, if possible.
Oh.
To keep him
Well,
close to your own age, you know?
I thought you meant body count. Keep it on.
No, I mean under 20 years
Like, he's
old.
only
Like,
at 3.
just try to keep him close to your own age, okay?
And also, like, he said that he's also, like, lied to people about his age for sex before while he was in high school. How else is he going to get some?
It's an entirely
He's
different
done it
world than
before.
it used to be, for sure. That's for sure a different world than the one that I grew up in. So, okay, so you're an ISTP, and, you know, it seems very obvious to me that.
And he's like also like going on a tangent about like how age doesn't like correlate with maturity. So like I called him out on that. Out on that. Like if you like really hold that belief, then like that should be consistent. And like you should be okay with fucking a junior who's in community college, or not even community college, just like a junior. It's like,
So wait,
like,
wait a second. Let me get this straight. You negated his argument that it was okay to have sex with you on the grounds that you had maturity because he couldn't cascade that argument down universally. But
yes.
but you weren't actually trying to prevent him from having sex with you.
I mean, prevent him. I sought it out. What?
I mean, the point is, you negated his justification, even though you weren't trying to negate the intended outcome of that justification, just because it was a bad justification.
What do you mean not trying to negate the outcome of justification?
Well, what's he trying to justify?
It's just trying to justify not being a pervert, I guess.
He's trying to justify having meow with meow,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah, but he doesn't know that I'm 16. He thinks I'm 18.
Oh, so you're justifying
Yeah,
having
right?
lied to him because
To myself, yeah.
because he
Because of
said
like 3 reasons that I already like told you.
okay, so okay. I,
I mean, like I'm logically correct here, right? Like,
you know
kind
what?
of.
I don't know what to say about all of this. Frankly, you have broadsided me with after school special, and I don't know what to do with this. Frankly,
Oh, I mean, you're a father, and you have to
yeah.
know
Well,
as a
I mean,
father.
and my daughter went on birth control when she was like 14 or something
Oh, holy shit.
because we thought, well, she's starting to hang around with boys and stuff, and I just was of the mindset that if she's gonna have a boyfriend, even in name, at 14, it won't be too much longer until she ends up having sexual intercourse, so she should be put on birth control, and
Yeah,
she was, but
yeah, but like, if the reason why like you not fuck a high schooler is these like all high schoolers have like similar experiences. My life experience deviates from the average high schooler, right? Like I'm already in college,
well, yeah,
and
that's true. I'm not disputing that, but well, it's obviously you seem pretty clear about knowing what you want or whatever.
yeah. So I had to consult my FI in order to make this morally great decision for myself.
I mean, it, let me put it this way: if we publish this video, if you want me to publish it, it will get plenty
I
of
might get
comments.
backlash.
Well, you might get
Yeah.
some backlash. You might get some
Uh-huh.
forelash as well. I don't know. You probably get a lot of "Hey girl, sup." I would. It wouldn't shock me if you got a fair amount of that. There's a fair amount of young people who watch Talking with Famous People, and
Yeah, but I like to keep it under 20, just
yeah,
because
I think that's a good idea because then you're at least in your demographic and you're sharing your generation's experience with fellow generation mates. You know,
Mhm.
Rachel and I are technically of different generations, I guess, but when you get up to 50 and 36, it's not, or 37, 50 and 37, it's a much different matter than when you're 16, you know, because then a few years make a huge difference, whereas the difference between 37 and 50, eh, you know.
I mean, like, you two don't even, like, know the same cartoons as each other.
We do, though.
Like, we grew up, like, watching different shows.
Well, we
So,
didn't
that has to be,
actually.
like, really weird. No?
The weird thing is we didn't because when Rachel was growing up, it was kind of in the cable TV time, and she watched a lot of stuff like Nick and Knight and stuff, and ended up watching a lot of the same shows as I watched. Like she and I were comparing notes on the old Looney Tunes cartoons, which she watched on like TV Land or Nick and Knight or something like that, probably.
TNT.
TNT, she said TNT, and which I watched on broadcast television back when there was only like 4 or 5 channels. But we still ended up watching the same thing. In fact, it's weird how Rachel and I have so much the same taste in music too, even though we grew up in different generations. She and I, she was born in '85. I was born in '71. We both have our respective experience of the mid to late '90s. Her and her, her teenage years, me in my 20s and stuff, and there's a lot of common ground there actually. But I get that there's a generational difference. The person I dated before Rachel, Kimberly, she was almost exactly the same age as me. In fact, she was basically the same age as me.
Well, I
But
mean, also like the older person would be more experienced, and they're just gonna have a one night stand. Like, then who gives a shit, right? I don't even know. I don't even need to know like what his name is.
okay, well, be
As long
careful.
as he doesn't have an STD, then
Look,
like we're
just be
good.
careful in general because you know when you meet up with people you don't know very well with the intent purpose
Well,
of
make sure to FaceTime them first, like feel out their vibe, you know.
right. Well, you know, just be careful, okay? Just be very careful with yourself and the people you decide to engage with because you never know when somebody's not well intentioned and I mean I don't know I just sound like an old man giving you old man advice but
I appreciate it.
it's just be careful and remember that if you put it off a little while whatever it is you're thinking about doing it won't kill you so it's like if something seems sketchy yeah try again tomorrow you know?
What?
So if something seems sketchy just say nah and
Propose a session to a later date?
no, I mean, like, say something's going down, and maybe they're like, "Why don't you come over?" And you're thinking about it, but it seems a little sketchy. Just remind yourself,
Why would you
I
try again tomorrow?
not the same person. You try with a different person tomorrow or something. I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah, I know.
Okay, well,
It's
just
very easy to find people who are horny around this area.
I don't doubt it. I'm not familiar with the process of looking for such myself because I'm not a censor. Okay, I'm an intuitive.
Oh, do you think sex drive has a positive correlation with like high SE users?
I think attitude towards sex relates to SE and NE a lot. So it's like the thing is, I'm the opposite of you when it comes to casual sex. I'm not interested in it, can't really have it and like it and enjoy it much. And I want to know for
Or you want to
sure.
settle down?
I want to know for sure what the emotional status here. I mean, I could theoretically, if I know for sure the emotional status is hit it and quit it, but then I'm not really interested in doing that exactly. It's not. It doesn't seem that fun to me. It just seems kind of scary and making myself unnecessarily vulnerable with a stranger. I much prefer intimacy in the context of a long term relationship because for me that status issue is very important. It's a word based thing, and
Well, the idea that sex uh makes like affords you the status of being vulnerable with a stranger is just a social construct, right? So that's just what you think, but like in reality, it's just like penis vagina penetration. It's not that deep at the end of the day. I mean, that's
well,
how I
it's
feel.
vulnerable if you're insecure at all. If you're insecure about your body or you're insecure about performance matters or something like that, it makes you
Yeah, but why
vulnerable
are
for
you
sure.
insecure about your body in the first place?
Because
It's because
you're
you're
not an
telling,
SE Dom or an SE tool user, right? If you're
or you're
not an
telling
SE
because you
tool
don't think you're
user,
sexy, like from an outside perspective, and to make you think that's society.
no, I mean, if you're an NETI person like me, you go through life thinking about everything in terms of words, even things that don't deserve to be thought about in terms of words, like sex. So, in other words, I remember in my teenage years worrying a lot about how that process was going to go down and the various statuses that it might afford and stuff like that in a way that just showed how unconscious my extrovert sensing was. Not realizing it's one of those contextual things that
Yeah, you just
when
have
you're
to go
in
out and experience it,
when
right?
you're in the moment, it happens. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, like when as soon as I finished exam, I still woke up one day, and like the thought popped up, like I need to do something finish, and I just went ahead and did it. Like the whole process in real
What
time was
made you think
fantastic.
that though?
What?
What made you?
Just I started the horniness. Like I saw Tom Holland, and I was like, wow, I need to get some.
Well, you know, I guess that's what they call a coming of age story. As as you lead yourself through the adventures of young adulthood. So, you know, it's like if that the nice thing is if that's a vice, it doesn't really leave a hangover, I guess, you know.
Yeah,
If that's something you're gonna indulge in,
I mean, you could still have a sex addiction.
it's better than a cocaine habit.
It's true,
Prob-
but a sore vagina's no fun either.
I'm sure it's not. I never experienced that myself, but Yeah. Okay.
So sex correlates with SE.
I'd say, generally speaking, yeah. Certainly, comfort with having it, sort of general satisfaction with that as an end in itself, rather than just this sort of fun, confusing thing that happens. You then afterwards you go, huh, that was weird.
Seems like very conditional for you, right?
it's
Like wanting to have sex. Yeah.
it's not conditional per se. It's just not on my mind consciously
Oh,
that much,
that's
and
what sucks.
until it becomes conscious to me. Generally speaking, I'm thinking of other stuff and something. Almost like I described in a video a while back. Sometimes I'll be driving in the car and I'll think, there's something about Rachel that's just irritating me right now. I don't know what it is. And then,
I mean, I don't consciously think about sex all the time. The thoughts just kind of come to me because my libido, right?
but you're
It's
aware of
completely
them as
logical
what they
though.
are. You're aware of them as what they are. Whereas for me, I realize sort of after a little bit, oh, I'm not irritated at Rachel. I'm horny. You know, like that.
Okay. I mean, would you be comfortable with like? Oh, never mind. I can't pose this question.
Yes,
Okay.
no.
All right. I'll just leave it at
This is
that.
very interesting.
All right.
So, ISTP.
I mean,
Are you
hey,
confident?
I don't see how you could possibly be anything else.
You sure I'm not ISFP?
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I'm an emotional person at heart.
Uh huh. Yeah, you sure sound like one. Also, you tried to trick me initially coming in, pretending to be somebody like your camera doesn't work. Oh no, I'm a stranger. You've never typed before. Obviously, I recognized your voice, Grace.
Well, okay, so I mean,
I don't
I
think an
just feel
ISFP
like
would do that. I really don't think an ISFP would do that.
why not? It would be funny if, like, at the end of the typing session, like, make a grand reveal. But, like, what if you ended up typing as like an ESTP or an ISFP?
Yeah, I know, but
Was that me taking your right of informed consent away?
no, it was you not not getting how powerful any SI is in remembering certain things like voices, especially of you and how we've interacted multiple times and
Yeah, when
you.
was the last time I talked to you? Like fucking 6 months ago?
Well, but I mean, like you're kind of like a you're kind of like famous to me in my life because you kept pestering me about shit I didn't really want to do.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. At least I paid
That's
you, right?
fine. That's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
monetary compensation.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you buy a session, you get a session. You know, I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
also
like,
you agreed to it, so
I
you can't
know,
hold me
I know,
accountable.
I know. Hey, I know. But
And
I also think of
not
you as
very.
the person who's always like, well, can we do it this Friday? I'm just like, I don't even know if I want to do this at all. This is like, but anyway, that's because you were asking me to do stuff for like your school, help you with school stuff, which is always a little bit like boring for me.
I just like need things to get like done urgently.
Yeah, it's boring
That's
shit
the
for me.
reason.
It's like, like as high school student I'm working with right now, he's got to read this book called Home. This book, Homegoing. Oh my god, it's so awful.
Oh,
Because what's it all about? Slavery. It's like a gritty, realistic book about how awful slavery was. Well, that's just depressing. That's just awful and
is it
depressing.
like written from the perspective of a slave or free
Yeah, well,
slave?
it's got different characters as it shifts between the perspective of several different main characters. One of whom is a slave woman who's been captured in Africa and is in this dungeon while she's awaiting transport to the New World, and it's just awful. So it's like, why are they making them read this book? It's just going to depress everybody. Let's just sanitize our history and pretend that that never happened.
Right.
Then we don't have to
I mean,
feel anything about it.
I'm on board with that. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes you a
I mean,
TI
like,
now.
what? I mean, like, the school like makes all of our mental health shit anyways. Like, why add on to like an emotional burden, right? Like, if I want to, feel bad today, then like I'll seek that content out myself.
Yeah, if you want to. How often do you want to feel bad?
Not often. I avoid sad music, yeah, out of all costs.
Yeah. Well, that's called not very FI.
Well, avoiding bad emotions, like I think that's like a very responsible FI thing to do.
No, I guarantee you, like FI DOMs, they they sort of roll around in the rich emotional hues of all the things that they encounter and deal with, and so it's like they're competent enough with FI to put the things they're seeing on the screen at a certain distance from themselves, appreciate how they make them feel, but not be burdened too much by those bad feelings. Like, in other words, just sort of it's becomes part of their rich, complex tapestry of feelings about a complex gray reality filled with ambiguity and
But
uncertainty and
if
yeah.
they're only experiencing it in real time, it doesn't like stick with them.
I mean, I think it does verify Dom. I think they understand it across time and they understand it in real time. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't seem like a big burden to them across time. They take away whatever emotional lessons they have about the world from it, but it doesn't weigh them down in the way that a sort of unregulated, reoccurring memory of something bad I've seen in a video that made me really sad sometime. Like anytime I've seen an animal treated badly or something on a video, or then that'll like really stick with me, and it'll kind of pop up randomly as a flash of memory and make me feel bad again without ever really being processed in any meaningful sense. So presumably, FI DOMs are able to process that shit in a more meaningful way. Although I can't really articulate exactly what that would be.
Okay. I mean, I feel like I get over things quickly though.
I mean, I do too, until they
That's so
flash
easy.
back up as a memory at some point, and then I feel it again.
Well,
You,
I mean, I don't.
it's like the shame shivers. If you have a memory of a time you embarrassed yourself, you'll have the shame shivers.
My memory's shake, so like I low key think I might have onset dementia.
Okay, well, it's just backstack. It's like my TE. It's not as shit as you think. You can
My
remember
SI?
things. Yeah, you can remember things when you need to. You'll probably successfully complete your academic career.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a 4.0 even though I'm like getting laid.
You got to remember some things to be able to get a good grades. You can't just forget everything you learn, right?
Oh, you'd be surprised. Like so many math formulas that just like
But you have to remember
flew
them
out.
long enough for the test.
That's true, yeah.
So,
But
okay, your memory's not that shite then.
it's
If
pretty shite.
it's good enough to produce the amount of memory and memorization you need to get A's, and it's countervalued, so you wouldn't want to produce any more than that. So it's like things that you can remember or might remember, but don't need to remember, you won't remember.
Yeah, I have selective memory, so like if a teacher is like gonna like give us like a list of all the formulas that like we could potentially use uh throughout the year, and I'm just like maybe like pick five to remember, like the most important ones. And then I look up at all of the other like tiny formulas that are already derived like from the bigger formulas. And I'm like, if I'm like familiar with the bigger formulas, then I can like probably figure the other formulas out on my own. But I have enough confidence in my TI
Yeah,
in order to do so. Yeah.
you're much more meow 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 in general than I would expect an FI dom to be, who
Meow
tend
meow
tend
meow.
to be more mushy about
Straight to the
things.
point.
Yeah, they tend to be
Mushy.
more mushy about things, a little bit less certain.
I am pretty uncertain about things. Like
She
and
says
when
with a
like
great deal
emotionally
of
wired.
certainty. She objects with a
What?
great deal of certainty.
Well, I mean, like if you were asking like how I'm feeling right now, I'd give you like a mushy ass response. Like neutral question mark.
Is that how you're feeling right now? Neutral question mark?
I mean, neutral, horny, and hungry. Just pretty dangerous combination, I'd say.
Eat some food.
Eat some food.
Eat some food. Call it an early night. Stay off 10. Don't swipe either direction tonight. Just Just, what you need to do, you need to catch up on Host Eric's old videos. That'll put you right to sleep, I promise.
Oh, I haven't watched your old content since like last time I contacted you.
Understandable. People's.
Yeah. Sorry I left your fan base.
I don't give a fuck, man. I don't expect anybody to stick around. I expect everybody to be like a YouTube consumer like I am, which is I have no loyalty to any channels at all. I just watch videos that I think are enjoyable. And if I occasionally I'll get on a little spurt where I like a certain person or their channel and I watch a bunch of their videos, but then I usually exhaust the portion of them that I want to see pretty quickly and move on. And I'm not somebody who participates in any community actively. So I expect other people to have a similar approach towards my channel, but
No, it's not like I know you personally.
it's true. You don't know me personally, although this is about as close as it gets without knowing me personally. Like having
It's two seconds.
having a couple face to face conversations at length, specifically about like who you are, how you think and stuff. Allows me to get to know you more than I normally would in that amount of time, and you to get to know me in general because I put out so many videos and I'm just generally not difficult to understand who I am. I just make it very bleh. So in
Yeah,
that
you have nothing
sense,
to hide.
we know each other more than most people who are like a YouTube channel and a person would know each other. Because
Yeah,
most
we
YouTube channels
know,
don't have this kind of conversation with people who watch the channels,
we're familiar with each other's mechanics of cognition.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. But like, we still don't know each other personally, though, like in a conventional sense.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. The thing is, I traveled across the country and visited various people that I knew from the channel before. And, and then it's like after I met them, I guess I felt more like I knew them personally. But I'm not quite sure why that's such a determining factor. I mean, certainly for some people like Taylor, who I hung out with Taylor for a couple of days, and we had some fun, exciting times and such. Obviously, I felt like I knew him personally, but a lot of those people, I just stopped and met them for lunch or something. We had lunch together, and I made a couple videos with them and moved on, and yet I still felt more like I met them personally after meeting them in person, but I knew them personally after meeting them in person. But I'm not quite sure why that's such a determining factor, if it should be, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, regardless, I'm going to stop this video now. And are you satisfied that you're an ISTP, or are you still going to be meh about it?
I mean, like, technically, you can't logically dispute why I'm not an ISFP, right? It's just like hunches that you have.
Well, I mean, no. Your TI is definitely faster than I'd expect for an ISFP. You jumped the question I asked. I don't remember the exact results from the TI question
Well, I
last.
mean, you didn't finish technically. Maybe if you finish, and then I might have gotten it wrong.
No,
Which is
I did finish it as you were answering in the last bit because you successfully concluded that once I had given you the setup, what the next question was going to be, and you were correct that it was not valid. So it's like you were one step ahead of me with the TI processing.
no. I had a 50% chance of getting that wrong. Like, I just answered how I think you would have finished the question.
Right. But
Uh-huh.
the thing is, you were correct in NIing that it's not just how I was going to finish the question. The question's set up to finish like that. And so you were anticipating that that's how the question's going to go.
No, I mean, you proposed a double negative, like not.
Because okay, I could have, yes, but
Yeah, but that wouldn't whack, right? I like most likely. My NI jumped to the conclusion that you finished
yeah,
like that.
right. And you had parsed it out correctly. It's not the case that you had a 50-50 chance because you were guessing. To the extent that you had a chance of getting it wrong, it's because you might have misintuited where I was going with the question. Not because you would have parsed it out incorrectly.
Yeah, because
And the parsing it out incorrectly ahead of me even finishing the question is vastly more indicative of TI Dom than an FI Dom. And in fact, I'm sure if we were to do a shit ton more TI questions, I could pin it down more definitively. Is there still some art to it? Yes, there's still some art to it. It is not 100% science yet, and there is some amount of intuition required to say this holistic thing is applicable here. In other words, it's greater than the sum of the parts to some extent, the conclusion. But that doesn't invalidate it in any meaningful sense unless you want to set a higher bar for this than anything else in life.
Yeah, but like, I don't. I was like watching like one of your TI videos, and I forgot the 25 horses question, something like that. Yeah, that took me forever to solve. Like embarrassingly long for somebody who's supposed to be a TI dom.
I don't think I even got it right. I don't think I took the time.
I got no. I literally got it wrong. I said it was 8 because I miscounted the first place scores. I didn't think to cross it out.
Well, I'm sure you did better than I did on it. I'm tool, so doesn't mean anything. It's like the hats question. It took me and Delilah forever to figure out the hats question. And she's TI. We're both TI tool, but we eventually did figure it out. So.
Well, yeah, at least you eventually figured it out.
Yeah, but it still took us a long ass time. The thing is.
Yeah, but you said like TI correlates with speed, right?
Well,
so like if I took an hour, then like what does that like reflect about my TI abilities?
Because that's not the kind of question you're going to be asking when you're testing for speed. Because that's not.
This is not something you can just like parse out on the fly.
Right, because that's not just purely a parsing question. That requires intuitive. No, it requires you to do framework. In other words, you've got to recognize the framework is that you have to put yourself in the mindset of each of the people with the hats in succession with the new information, which is not. In other words, you're being asked to put yourself in the epistemology of each of these people in succession after each step of the way that what the people who are the characters in the story know and how they're applying their knowledge in the situation, right? So you're being asked to do that and update the baseline information for the story with each character so that the new character is informed by the last character's decisions. And that's not normal for a question, so it requires you to intuitively, out of the box, kind of approach it from a different angle than you would normally approach a question like this, which assumes that you're given all the information you need in the first place, that the character B in the story isn't going to understand things differently as it progresses. So it's a frame challenge.
Perspective, exactly.
So yeah, whereas like a simple like, what's yesterday's tomorrow, is just.
Like, oh, I missed that.
That's much more straightforward, right?
Yeah, because you know, like off the get go, like what framework you have to use to approach those type of problems. It's just one dimensional, right?
Yeah.
Just brute force TI.
Yeah, and so then you can check speed, and you can see clearly as people go, okay, yesterday was Friday, tomorrow from there's Saturday.
Yesterday was Friday?
Yeah, today's Saturday. Today's Saturday.
No, I shit sense of time.
Yesterday's tomorrow is Saturday or today. But the thing is, if people go, okay, let's see, yesterday's, tomorrow's, yesterday's.
Maybe their brain's just lagging.
They're just not TI. They're not TI first or second. That's all it is.
Okay.
And you definitely are a TI first or second. Now, your best argument would be potentially that you are an ESTP, not an ISTP, except.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that after you finish.
I just don't
but you
see
don't
the
think I'm
extrovert.
Polar though.
I think
you think I am mechanical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And less so FI polar.
Yeah, I mean, I like you pointed out, I don't have nearly as strong a test for FI polar, but you test very clearly NE polar to me.
Yeah, last time I didn't test clearly NE polar, so I just needed to pin it down.
Yeah, I get that. And if you see like a video, there's that dude I tested, Odin. He's an ESTP. You see how he answers the NE questions. You'll see the difference between how you answer them and how he answers them. It's pretty clear.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna wrap this up now. Okay, I'm gonna stop this video. Are you comfortable with me publishing this?
Yeah, I think so. I'd be interested in people's opinions about sex matter.
Okay, and if you change your mind at any point, you're obviously always able and entitled to tell me to take it down, and I will. Okay.
Really? Oh, okay.
Absolutely, for sure.
Right. Good.
Okay.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
I mean,
Bye.
night. Yeah.